Good evening and welcome to the State of the Nation on AsphericTV. I am Adejoro Adeogun and my co-host for this program is YT Paul from Uyo. YT, how are you doing? YT, I can't hear you. All right. The State of the Nation is a program initiated by the AsphericTV to enable individuals, agencies, government parastatals, and private organizations to highlight their achievements in the industry and to also discuss plans and how their plans affect the Nigerian citizens. Our viewers can interact with us live on Facebook at official Aspheric News, on Twitter at Aspheric News, on Instagram at Aspheric.news, and on YouTube Aspheric TV. Please do subscribe to our YouTube channel for more information. And also send us SMS on 08099990549. And today, joining us on this program is Honorable Adejoro Adeogun, a member representing Akoko South East and Akoko South West federal constituency in the National Assembly. And he will be discussing with us national security issues, especially security intelligence, among others. You're welcome.
Good evening.
Yeah, welcome to the program, Honorable.
Thank you very much. Good to be with you.
With your vast experience in security intelligence, can you tell us what you think about the government's fight against terrorism?
Well, it's been a lengthy fight. Don't forget, this fight started from even when President Obasanjo was president, and when President Yar'Adua became president. That's when it all started. So we've gone through several stages. We've evolved from fighting an insurgency that was trying to take over a section of the country, evolving into one in which we're now having to deal with Islamic State of West Africa province, which is a West African chapter of ISIS. So it's been a lot of involvement. I think government has done well, the military has done well in certain regards, but a lot more still needs to be done.
Okay. The insurgents in the Northeast seem to always bounce back after taking major hits from our defense forces. Why is it that?
Anybody who is conversant with such guerrilla warfare will understand that what insurgents do is look for soft targets. They're not taking the hard targets because they're not within their control anymore. There are no places they could really attack. So they look for soft targets, defenseless civilians, communities that have no form of military presence. That's what they look for. And the whole idea is to at least create some semblance of activity to make the whole world, to make people believe that they actually existed, to give them some sense of presence in the area of operations. But I think basically, the insurgency we face is not as devastating as it used to be.
As Deputy Chairman, House Committee on Security, what is the House of Assembly doing to aid the fight against these insurgents?
Well, the National Assembly basically has one or two functions: appropriation to ensure that the security forces have enough funds, and then secondly, oversight to be sure that what they're doing properly, they're managing the funds given to them, and that the operations fall within the rules of engagement. I think those are the things the National Assembly has been doing and trying to at least get everybody to work together, all the security forces, the civil population, to accept the fact that this is not a battle being fought by the military alone. It should be a collective battle for Nigerians.
Honorable, I'm sorry, I must apologize. I think my service is really bad over here. Now, if you would agree with me, today we are not just battling with terrorism, kidnapping. We are not just battling with terrorism, but we are also battling kidnappings and armed bandits, herdsmen attack here and there. What would you say we are not doing well as a country? In what can you say is the problem? It's wrong. What are we not doing right? What do you think we're doing as a country that is not right?
What the state of insecurity in Nigeria today is a reflection of the failure of governance over the years. What we're witnessing today is not something that started today. It's something that's been building up. You have the Almajiri system in the north, poor education for young people.
Honorable,
Yes, I
Honorable,
can
we're
hear you
losing
now.
you.
Yes,
Okay, we lost you.
and people have been screaming for a
Honorable, can you hear us?
So we can't hear you. We can't hear you, sir. We can still hear you, sir. No, we cannot still hear you, sir. I think your mic is turned off, sir. Okay. Um, no, we can still hear you. We can still hear you, sir. Maybe we should give you 2 to 3 minutes to get that fixed, and then we come back to you, sir. Is that okay? Can you hear us? Oh,
He,
we're
he,
really.
he can't hear us.
We can still hear you, sir. We can still hear you. So maybe we'll just give you 2 to 3 minutes to get that fixed because we can't hear you at all.
But can you hear us now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can hear you now.
I can't hear you from this.
Oh no, no, we can hear you.
Honorable, what you do is just go off and log in again. Sorry, we lost the honorable due to network disturbances, but he will soon be joining us back. But Whitey, before the honorable joins us back on the program, what do you have to say concerning what we are discussing? Whitey, can you hear me? Whitey, we apologize to our viewers out there. Due to network issues, the whole thing is a bit not stable, but we apologize for the inconvenience. And before the Honorable and my co-anchor join us back on the program, we were discussing security issues in the country. We can see that the security issue in the country is really getting out of hand, and the president and the entire service chief have been on serious lookout for the best way to curb the insecurity in the country. And Northeast, it has been the issue of terrorism and banditry, as well as other insecurity ways that is coming up from different groups of people here in the country. We cannot do this alone. As you're watching us, you have the opportunity to share your own comments and tell us what you think about the insecurity in the country. You can also send your questions to the honorable so that you can ask him whatsoever you want to ask. Honorable, good to have you back on the program.
Yeah, I hope you can hear me now.
Yeah, I can hear you. And White, you too. Welcome back to the program.
So good to be back. My network is a little bit messy, but I think I've gotten that sorted out. Thank you.
All right, so Honorable, you can continue. You were saying
Yes.
something from.
Yes, I was explaining the fact that the major function of the National Assembly is to try to get all Nigerians to understand, to appreciate that it's a collective battle. It's the war of insurgency, the battle against insurgency in the North is a battle that will involve all Nigerians. The National Assembly is doing the civil side, providing the funding, appropriating appropriately, supporting and oversighting the military. I think those are the basic things we're doing.
Okay. Thank you so much on that, sir. Now, moving a bit to the West. Now, we understand that the West governors came together and they formed this security outfit known as the Amotekun. Now, sir, can you explain Amotekun security outfit to us and tell us what their function is going to be and what led to the emergence of that security outfit, sir?
Amateco is basically a regional security force encompassing all the states of the Southwest. And it's a way of putting together all the vigilantes and then getting a whole lot of people to work together as a team to secure the Southwest. Basically, I think this was instigated by the menace of cattle headers and then issues of kidnapping. That was what prompted the idea of a Hamotekon. It's basically to complement the police, to complement the security forces, ensuring that there's security in the Southwest. But in my view, I think the government of the state of the Southwest came to this because the existing government and law enforcement agencies haven't done enough. So it was more or less a vote of no confidence on them. It's more or less telling them that, look, if you can't do it, we have to find a way to do it. That's what I think.
Okay.
And with that, what do you think can be done concerning the Amotekun? Do you think the Amotekun will really outlast its purpose and aim of setting up the security outfit?
Can you
Do
hear
I
us,
think
sir?
it will outlast the purpose? My experience with things like this is that it's more political than security. And that if you have anything, by 2023, we may not be talking about Motekun.
And why do you think by 2023 we will not be talking about Amotekun?
You see, you are aware that so many states started similar things. You had the Bakassi in Bayelsa at some point. You had some government security forces in other states. Almost all states have had things like this before. And most of the time, they do not outlast the government that starts them. They don't. So it's too much of politics being played. So I don't expect much different from Amotekun.
There are concerns that Amotekun would be used adversely by leaders in the Southwest, particularly around and during elections to achieve their political goals. Could you analyze this scenario for us?
Amotekun will serve the same purpose as most state-sponsored vigilantes. I had mentioned the issue of the Bakassi in Abia State, the Anambra State Vigilante Service. You have similar vigilante services in all parts of Nigeria. Even the ones that mutated into Boko Haram in Borno State was originally a vigilante service. So they're basically these tools that will be used to intimidate political opponents, if possible. And when you look at instances of what's happening in some states where asset.
Are you there, sir?
Hello? Yes,
yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, sir.
Okay, so when you see instances where they demolish assets of political opponents, you understand that basically this is the way politicians behave. They don't have the maturity to understand that governance is about people, not about self. And so for as long as our politicians, our political leaders, our governors are selfish, security outfits, state-sponsored security outfits will always be used to serve their own purpose during elections.
Sir, we cannot see you. We can see you right now, but since we are still having a good audio sound, it's all right. Now, sir, what
but you can get the audio.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir, we can
get the audio.
I suppose it's the network cut it off.
Okay. What legislative can be put in place to avoid that from amongst the to being used by the police?
Well, you see, it's one thing for legislation to be put in place. It's another thing for it to be enforced. There are enough laws on ground to prevent certain things being misused. I mean, when you look at even the enabling laws creating some of the vigilante services, you'll realize that it didn't provide for them to be used for electioneering. But then they're being used. The same way you find out that, a governor with a good rapport with the commissioner of police can always misuse the police to intimidate political opponents. So it's there. It's not about the law. It's about actually people understanding the principles of democracy.
Okay. Ayoloa, I'm sure you have what you want to ask.
Yeah. Honorable, now looking at what you're saying, do you think there will be any reason for this Amotekun to just decide not to become a group that will become a threat to the society, or it will be a kind of a propaganda by some political authorities to turn them into threats to the society?
Well, I want to take example instances from places where they've had state vigilante services before. In Anambra State, they went rogue. In Abia, they went rogue. And there's so many other states where such outfits became something that even the states couldn't control. And then when you look at the economic activities happening now and the economic meltdown nationwide, you know that at some point the state will not be able to fund these outfits. They won't be able to.
Hello, sir.
Are you
to
still
pay
there?
salaries of members of data outfits. And yes, I'm with you. So anytime the state is unable to fund, the people will probably have to go out to look for means of funding themselves, which means they have to do non-legal activities to sustain themselves. That is my fear.
Oh.
And
Okay.
do you also think that with that in sight, do you think turning to a threat, besides having some political figures making them become threat to the society, do you think a power play between the edge in the Amotekun cannot lead to that as well?
Well, the reality on ground was, I mean, as of now, shows that most of the states that supposedly have Amotekun actually do not have anything beyond vehicles and a few operational vehicles and one or two, three staff. No state in the Southwest has a full complement of people known as Amotekun Corps. None. Lagos State is not even making any effort to recruit. I'm not sure, the other states are making an effort. I am aware of one or two states that have maybe advertised to recruit personnel. But as we speak, I don't think any of them can boast of 100 personnel.
Honorable, would like to have your we are not seeing you, we can only hear your voice.
Well, I've tried everything. Maybe what I could do is discontinue and then get in again and see if it will work. So if we could just pause a moment, then I can do that.
All right. For our viewers, we're still looking forward to your questions and answers. We were discussing about security issues in Nigeria presently. Looking at everything happening, we can say that Nigerians are not being happy with the situation on ground, looking at the insecurity rising every day in our different societies. You can join the conversation by sending in your own idea or question because we are discussing with Honorable Adeogun. Is a member representing Akoko South East and Akoko Southwest Federal Constituency of Ondo in the National Assembly. And you can do that if you want to reach us through the SMS on 080 99 990549. And you can also reach us through our Facebook official Aspheric News, on Twitter at Aspheric News, on Instagram at aspheric.news. Also, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel, AsphericTV, and please make sure you go on to our YouTube channel for more details. Now, Honorable, back to you. You were saying something before the little interruption.
Yes, basically explaining that we have fears about sustainability of state vigilantes outfits. I don't think they're sustainable. They don't have the funding, they don't have the manpower, and once there's a change of government at the state level, it will not be sustained.
Okay, now so moving away from Amotekun and the rest of them, how has your representation been? I mean, you're serving the good people of Akoko local government constituency, sorry. So how has it been so far? How's your representation?
Let me
How would
start
you
by saying that it is Akoko. And I heard this gentleman describe my name as Adejoro. No, in Yoruba language, if your tone is wrong, you'll be conveying a different meaning. So just simply call me Adeogun. It's easier for all of us.
All right.
So it is Akoko. So my people will be upset if I do not correct that. So I needed to put that on record.
Okay, apologies for that. I'm sure they will permit me if I get the pronunciation wrongly. Thank you for the correction, sir. So how has your representation been so far? How would you describe it?
Well, it's been quite interesting. We've done a lot in terms of, first of all, making their voices heard, because it's important that people get to know that there's some place called Akoko in Nigeria, and then there's some people who are extremely marginalized who are actually in the lowest spectrum of the economic cycle. And so we've done a lot to get you to understand where we are, who we are, and our challenges. We're doing a lot. And then on personal note, I'm doing a lot to see what we can do to bring prosperity from Abuja back to our communities in Akoko Southwest.
Okay. So now, sir, I'm sure you've had some projects done so far. Can you share with us some of your projects so far since you started representing them?
Get you. I didn't hear your question.
Okay, sir. I said that I'm sure you have had some projects done since your representation. Now, sir, would you like to share those projects you've done so far with us?
Well, there are quite a few projects we've done with rehabilitation of City Hall at Okar, or we're building a town hall at a place called Kaodo. We've rehabilitated close to 50 water boreholes to provide electricity. We just granted 200 scholarships to 200 students for 3 years in a College of Education so can train teachers locally, because most of the schools in the States don't have enough teachers. We helped by 120 constituents to access CBN's household loan, and I think we've been able to get in about 30 million naira into the constituency within the past 2 weeks. There are quite a few things we've done in terms of infrastructure, in terms of trying to build the people, because we think the most important thing is investing in the human resource of the place.
Okay. Okay, that's a nice one so far, sir. So, have you, since the resumption of your office, I'm sure you've had some challenges so far now. What would you describe as those challenges you have faced since you started representing your constituency?
Well, challenges are part of the business of legislation, and when you're in a place where there are 360 people, there's competition. So, any distraction will actually not help you. I got into the Legislative Assembly and had some litigations I had to deal with for quite a few months. So for between June and October, I think I had some litigations I had to settle, pre-election litigations, which was a huge distraction. We took a lot of resources. Then we had issues, of course, the COVID-19 has taken us back a bit because you can't sit at a house. So you find out that part of the first legislative year has been eroded by even the coronavirus. So it's a challenge for us. But basically, I think overall it's been a fantastic first year, fantastic learning experience for every one of us.
Well, it's so good to hear that it has been a fantastic first year for you, even with the pandemic going on. Now, sir, what are your plans? What are your future plans for your constituency? What do you hope to achieve before your tenure elapses?
Well,
What do you hope?
when I started campaigning for election, I campaigned basically on one principle. It's about identify what our problems are. And we know that for us, there are basically two issues: unemployment for youth and infrastructure. And it would be good for me if we're able to at least create small businesses in the area. I always try to compare my constituency to Aba, and I'm believing that if we're able to get to a state in which you have as many small businesses as they have in Aba, then the issue of infrastructure will be dealt with. Because I'm aware that where there's money, infrastructure will chase money. State government will invest in the environment if we have enough small businesses that will generate revenue. So I think that's my target, and that's if we're able to get to that state, I would have considered my 4 years a success.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, looking at that, what you just said now, what have you done regarding making your constituency the where you said you are comparing it, looking at Aba and your own constituency. So what project have you been doing in this regard to make it up to that standard?
Well, I recall that within my first 3 months, I had a collaboration with Nigerian Ports Authority for part of the execution of part of NPA's CSR in my constituency. It entails training and provision of aids and tools for artisans. So we're able to reach out to about 125 artisans. I mentioned the issue of the loan that we just help our constituents access. The whole idea is to provide seed capital for people who are trying to grow small businesses. We've trained a number of youth on shoemaking. We're training some on music to be able to get that. We just felt like, look, we can have our own Davido, we can have our own Two-Face, we can have every such person within our environment. And I've seen how music and arts transform Ajegunle in Lagos. And if we can change Ajegunle from being a jungle city to being an art city, I'm sure that my constituency can become the new art city of Ondo State. So we're looking at exploring ways to bring the creative talent of our youth to put it into force and turn their creativity into economic value.
Okay. And now back to the COVID-19 issue. What would you say, do you think the Nigerian government has been coping with the issue of the COVID-19 pandemic? In your own understanding, do you think the Nigerian government are doing well on that regard? Or what is your take?
You have to look at the COVID-19 thing in different stages. The federal government in Nigeria and the states. The federal government started by trying to take ownership of the whole thing. We actually started well compared to many countries, compared to the US, compared to most countries of Europe. Nigeria shut down its borders early. Nigeria restricted air flights and all that. And I recall that as at beginning of February, Nigeria was already doing temperature checks at the airports. So we started early. What we've had is people not believing that there was actually something called COVID-19. Is the attitude of Nigerians of not believing, attitudes of even some state government not believing that it was possible. We still have states that just think it's it's not correct. I laugh at one state where they said they have some magical herb that they used to detect and eliminate the virus. So when you have it, so that's why I say you look at it from different state levels. The level of the federal government, they've done well in certain regards. They've tried to provide guidelines for all the states. And then level of the state, there's some states that have been super. Lagos State has been fantastic. A few other states have been. And there's some states that are still living in denial. So you've got to rate them separately. So those who are doing well are doing well. Those who are living in denial are just, taking risks that, it's absolutely unnecessary. I'm with you.
Okay. Now, we are still not getting your picture. I think it's still the network over there that is causing this little issue. But before you get that, okay. So
I'm sure we have some questions in the comment section. Can you quickly just take a few questions from the comment section? So once Honorable comes back, we'll just take those questions. Okay.
Another question is simply in the area of technology and in security intelligence, how has the Nigerian government been able to offer their technology in security?
Okay, I'm sure once Honorable comes back, he's going to take that question. In the meantime, okay, I think we're having him back now. So good to have you back.
Thank you very much.
We're sorry for that little issue, though.
Well, it's all part of the infrastructure challenge we face in Nigeria, so it's okay. We can deal with the infrastructure.
Listen, sir. Okay, now, sir. How has technology been put in use in terms of security in Nigeria, sir? How would you describe the use of technology here? as
I'll give us
regarding security?
I'll give us 10%.
10%.
Yes.
Okay, now that's really low. Why would you give us 10%, sir? What are we not
Because
doing well?
okay, now I'm sure you're following the latest trending story about Hush Puppy and what was done
Yeah,
in Dubai. You know the
yeah.
pain it took to get everything done there. They were able to
Mm,
collect the facts before they made the arrest. But in Nigeria,
mm.
we'll make arrests and we'll start looking for the facts.
That's true.
Technology
True.
will help you move. If you have technology, you get a lot of things done. And then look, why are we having difficulties tracking criminals? Because we don't have the appropriate technology. If people kidnap, they still have to negotiate for ransom. They have to do this, do that, and all that. If we have it, is there any criminal that does not leave a footprint? Footprint,
Yeah.
fingerprint, tools of trade, and all that. Do we have access to them? Are we able to do anything for them? Do you have a forensic laboratory? Can we do
Mm,
DNA and get results in 24 hours? I mean, the police, the law enforcement agencies. Those
mm,
are the things technology do. And then
mm,
somebody should be able to sit down with some satellite technology and at least have cameras on our streets. Do we
mhm,
have them? We invested trillions of naira some 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago in providing
mm,
street cameras in Lagos and Abuja. And as of today, not one camera is working. So
mm,
you can see why I'm saying that we're just 10%. I'm being generous.
mm. Wow. Wow. Oh, okay.
Uh,
Now, do
Um,
you really think we don't have those things in place, or is it that we have it, but yet some authorities are not allowing these things? Because probably if they allow it, maybe their own cats will be let out of the bags. What do you think? Because I'm sure that we are not that bad. We are not that bad. I'm sure there have been things put in place, like you just mentioned, maybe 6, 7 years ago, these cameras were there. So what really happened to those things? Hello, sir, can you hear me?
China, you can get anything you want in China. It depends on how much you're paying. If you want 10 naira shoe, you get 10 naira, you get 10 naira Louis Vuitton shoes because they can make the fake one. So is it that the people, when we're doing our procurement, do we procure appropriately? Do we meet the right people during our procurement process? So that could have been why we get the wrong things. I'll share privileged information that I once had to do. I remember some 10, 12 years ago, the Nigerian government bought drones, and the
Mm.
drones never flew. And we invested $25 million
Oh,
in buying drones that could never fly.
mm,
So that's something 12 years ago. So you see, there are a lot of instances of us not doing the right thing. It's not just about investing, it's about investing appropriately.
mm.
mm, that's really nice. Now,
Ah,
do you think anything can be done in this regard? Like, do you think we can use our telecommunication system to track down some numbers of terrorists? Because sometimes you look at it that kidnappers even make phone calls using a line to call somebody to demand for ransom. What do you think Nigerian government or the security agencies are not doing well enough
mm.
to be able to track down a kidnapper or somebody who is a threat to the society using their mobile numbers?
First, I think the security agencies are a bit overwhelmed because they don't have enough manpower. Manpower in terms of the number of personnel, in terms of the quality of the training of the personnel. It's one thing to have someone who is a teacher, it's another thing for the person to be able to teach, to be able to do the appropriate thing. So I don't think they have enough in that regard. And then the second issue has to do with the issue of impunity. In Nigeria, a man commits a crime, and then because there's a new crime, we forgive the old crime. Nobody should be allowed to go scot-free. If a man commits a crime 30 years ago and you still pursue that crime, the file should never be closed. Then people will realize that, okay, if you commit a crime, when you think it's time to enjoy the fortune derived from that crime, then you have to pay the penalty. It will reduce the the lure, the incentive that is derived from committing crime. So is that we need to eliminate impunity among criminals.
And there's always also been an issue whereby you see somebody buy a SIM card, but at the end of the day, the name of the person on that SIM card is different from the person using the SIM, which also poses a lot of threat to the security of the nation. What do you think should be done in that?
The issue of SIM card and all that, if we follow the the laid down regulation, anyone who's buying a phone should register it by himself, not registered and used by third parties. It's because, well, our surveillance system hasn't been perfect enough to be able to handle that. So it's something we have to deal with.
All right. Being a member House of Representatives, what bills have you sponsored or supported so far, and why?
Well, I mentioned the terrorism bill because it's important, because it has a way of helping us handle the issue of terrorism, and particularly because one of the reasons the U.S. had to include Nigeria among some countries that were banned from migratory visas was because of the issue of records and access to information, which we thought that the terrorism bill would give access to. We're involved. There's a bill that is still being processed. It's going through the process of being read and then being passed, and that has to do with the Smedan bill, which is a bill. The idea is to be able to create business incubation centers in all the local government councils in Nigeria, so that people can actually be trained on and do small businesses the same way we train artisans. They will have a widows protection bill, which I'm co-sponsoring with a few other people. And it's actually been championed by a friend of mine who is a widow in Lagos.
So how long will it take such a bill to be passed, and what are the processes?
Well, bills pass through three major processes. The first reading, which is the easiest one, which it is listed in the order paper and read. The long heading is read. The second reading, where you have the debate. From the second reading, it is committed to the committee. The committee members have to hold meetings. They have to examine the bills. When necessary, they hold public hearings of members of the public. After which, the committee report is compiled and presented to the committee of the whole. We're submitted to the House. The House breaks into a committee of the whole members and then deliberate on every section, every part of the bill before it is passed into law. Even when it is passed into law by one chamber, it will still be forwarded to the second chamber for concurrent. Without that, you need to have the two houses agree on the bill before it can be sent to the president for assent.
Now we are going to the issue that previously we discovered that Chad, from their own end, attacked the Boko Haram terrorist group, and which for some time it has not been so. What do you think Nigerian government should do in that regard? Because we understand that many people in those communities no longer find it easy to even sleep in their own houses in those communities. Do you think Nigerian government needs more international collaboration to deal with terrorism in those areas and within the country at large?
You see, for a long time, Nigeria has had a multilateral group in the Chad Basin area to deal with the issues of terrorism. The reason Chad is coming late to the party is because they've been inactive. They were supposed to be part of it, but they did not secure their part of the country. So people that were chased out of Nigeria always found refuge in Chad. I think it was when they attacked Chadian troops that now occurred to them that, look, they could no longer fold their hands and allow the people to just use their territory as launching pads on Nigeria. So it's not like Chad did Nigeria a favor. No. Chad did their part of the bargain. They did what they should have done 2 years ago, 3 years ago. That's what they did.
All right. Now, Honorable, I want to know from your own end, what exactly do you suggest for the Nigerian government to do as regards the insecurity, being the deputy chairman's House Committee on Security?
First is to invest in security. We need to invest in it, and it's not just short term. We've got to have a short term, medium term, and long term plan to invest in security. I mean, look at your own property where you live. If you hire a guard, it's different from what you get if you hire someone from a private security security firm, and that will be different from what you get if you actually hire you get a police or the military to secure you. They're different levels. They don't cost the same. So if what we're investing is 10 naira in security, we get 10 naira outcome. So we need to invest a lot more. Then we need a participation of Nigerians. It's we have this notion that security is the job of government. Security is everybody's business. It's your business, it's my business, it's the business of my neighbor. We all have to collaborate and ensure that we assist security agencies with information. We collaborate with them where necessary. There are too many things happening in our neighborhood that we just close our eyes and just pretend they don't happen. Those are the things that will help. I mean, in other countries where you think there's so much perfection because the citizens accept that they're part of the security process. So we need to build that network or relationship that involves the citizens and the government and the law enforcement agencies to make our country a safer place.
Now, talking about the citizens being involved in this fight against insecurity, we understand that some time ago, a lot of people find it difficult to even expose somebody, even if they know that this person is a threat to them in that area. They will be scared of going to meet the police and tell them this somebody is around here and this is what the person is doing, because sometimes they end up being the victim instead of being protected from that. What do you think can be done so that Nigerians can also involve in this security fight?
I think technology has actually helped in that regard, because yes, when people were scared was because they felt that some elements within the police force could have been compromised. We're not, without trying to say that's not happening. It has happened in the past and it will still happen tomorrow. The basic thing is for us to look at, okay, if you think the compromise at the lowest level, you go to a higher level. If you think you don't want to do that, there's technology. Look, the same way people are doing videos and putting on Facebook and putting on YouTube and putting on social media, the same way you can get evidence and all that and make it available to members of to the public. And the police will now have discrete means of actually receiving information from members of the public. They have discrete telephone lines. They have social media handles where they can receive information. Such are available to people, and people don't have to be scared anymore.
And talking about police brutality, we witnessed what happened in America when George Floyd was killed by a police officer there. Also in Nigeria, we experience things like that. What do you think the police or the security agencies in Nigeria should be taught or they should be doing to avoid killing innocent people?
We need to have periodic psychological evaluation of people who handle weapons. Is there enough for you to train a policeman and then you still bearing harms 10 years after without any form of training, without any form of psychological evaluation? Even people who are normal sometimes get hungry. So if you don't check people to check their anger control, check their state of mind and not just give them weapons, anything can happen. I think the issue is about actually checking the state of the man you're harming. If you don't check the state, will be exposing members of the public to harm.
Do you also think the Nigerian government should take the issue of security officers not involving in the use of drugs? Because some of them are into alcoholism, some are into all sorts of drugs, which can also trigger such behavior towards the innocent citizens. Do you think the Nigerian government should come up with a regulatory body to checkmate all those use of drugs or alcohol in the Nigerian Security Agency?
I think the security agencies on their own have enough internal regulations to deal with the issue of alcoholism, drug use, and all that. I don't think there's any security agency in Nigeria that permits the use of drugs. So it's an illegal use of illegal substances. So it's illegal, and they have penalties for such. Alcoholism, yes, they have, even for what they call public nuisance, it's an offense in the police, in all the agencies. So it's not, it's there. It's about reporting system. I'm aware that a lot of cases lately that have been shown on social media, the police have taken action, the military have taken action. So it's about the reporting system and, reporting and getting the higher levels of the force of the security agencies to know what's going on, and then they can take necessary disciplinary action.
Thank you very much, Honorable, for your time. We have come to the end of our discussion today. We hope to have you some other time again so that we can discuss more on the new developments, being the Deputy House Committee, the Deputy Chairman House Committee on Security. Thank you very much for having you today, Honorable.
Good to be with you.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
And to our viewers, thank you for watching, and to those who interacted with us, we thank you so much for your time. You just heard the Honorable representing Akoko South East Southwest Federal Constituency. Thank you very much. We will meet again.